Only moments from the Tower of London, this is the Tower Hill Execution Memorial. And at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, the 15th of July 1685, a particularly notorious event took place here with the execution of 36-year-old James Scott, who was the Duke of Monmouth and the illegitimate son of King Charles II. Scott had been sentenced to death in his absence the previous month for leading what was known as the Monmouth Rebellion, which was a violent attempt by Protestant groups to remove Catholic King James II from the throne. After losing what was known as the Battle of Sedgemoor on the 6th of July, he'd then been captured, locked into the Tower of London, and then, on the fateful day, brought to this spot before a gigantic crowd who were being kept back by a large number of soldiers. It might have seemed at that point that his day couldn't possibly have gone any worse, but his executioner, sadly, was a man named Jack Ketch. Ketch had been appointed, somewhat unfortunately, by Scott's father in 1683 and was notorious for botching almost every execution he performed. There's only one example. 2 years earlier, he had executed 43-year-old politician Lord William Russell, who was one of Scott's supporters, in such a gruesome manner that he'd actually written a public apology afterwards. Scott, anyway, climbed the steps of the platform, turned to Ketch and, as was customary, handed him a handful of money. "Here are 6 guineas for you," he said. "Do not hack me as you did my Lord Russell." He then ran his fingers along the edge of the axe and told Ketch that he didn't think it was sharp enough. Regardless, he took off his coat and laid his head upon the block, before Ketch then raised the axe and, on bringing it down, quickly realised that Scott was right. It wasn't sharp enough, and, on thumping violently into the back of his neck, only inflicted a flesh wound. Ketch, it seems, panicked and, to the horror of the crowd, simply kept swinging, but seemed completely incapable of severing his head from his body. Depending on where you read it, Scott was still alive after possibly as many as 10 swings, although soaked in blood and seemingly paralysed with a broken neck, and it was only when the horrified sheriff finally handed him a knife that Ketch threw the axe down and beheaded him with it. The crowd, however, disgusted by what they'd just seen, were now furiously calling to lynch him, were kicking, punching and spitting at the soldiers, and were trying to storm the platform. Ketch was rushed away, and what was left of Scott was later buried inside the tower beneath the communion table in St. Peter's Chapel. I'll see you back here next week for another Morbid Monday.